Okay, so this is Al bringing out that beautiful self-build, and we're off on the Dambusters 2016 Sunday Ride Out. First stop, cash machine, otherwise we won't be having any breakfast. Following Al, which is not going to be quiet. Beautiful village this. Blossom, gorgeous. That is not a quiet motorcycle. That really is not a quiet motorcycle. Coming into view, RAF Scampton, home of the Red Arrows, but also importantly relevant to what we're doing today. 1943, home and launch base for Operation Chastise, the Dams raid. Go past the main gate shortly on the right hand side with a nice freshly repainted hawk in this year's Red Arrows colours as a gate guardian. Very nice indeed. There we go, coming up on the right hand side, there she is. Have a good look as we go by. There, one nicely painted hawk. Right, here we go. Off to the Century snack bar. This is the city of Lincoln on a nice sunny morning, and I just glimpsed it through the trees as we're coming up here. You're going to get a nice view of the cathedral as we come out into the sunshine round this corner. Coming up now, there she blows on the cathedral. Unfortunately, we're going around the corner. Actually, if you look on the hilltop up there, you can see the spire where we're going to be a little bit later on. Wow, that is an impressive sight. Look at that. Look at that. One thing that's also going to come out from this film, I suspect, is quite how bumpy the roads in Lincolnshire are. They really are crap. A lovely yellow goldwing. Wow, shiny. Shiny big time. There you go, RAF Waddington. Over there you can just see the radomes of one of the AWACS aircraft, Boeing E-3D. There she is. Coming up on the left is the snack bar for breakfast, and on the right you will see a Vulcan. There she is. Just coming up now. And the snack bar is on the left. I think she's XM607, I think, but I could be wrong. Anyway, what the hell. Beautiful thing. Looks like we're the first to arrive. Okay, ready to roll. Okay, thank you. And off we go. If only I had a rearward facing camera. On our way now to the International Bomber Command Centre Memorial Spire and Walls. A real privilege really, because the centre is not open to the public yet, so this is a real privilege. Lovely view of Lincoln Cathedral sitting in the sunshine, and there to the left of the cathedral is the spire sticking into the sky. Hi, yes it is. Really lovely to see you, and thank you so much.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Where do you want us? Is lined up here okay, or?
Just go up there a little bit, Mark. I thought I might be able to get some photos of the bike from the spire.
Perfect. How far down can we go?
There's a sort of big rectangle cut out of the ground.
Right.
In front of where the new turf starts.
Down at the bottom.
Centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just up by that bend, really, there's a place on the right. You might be able to sort of pull in there, and I'll wander up behind.
We'll go fine.
.44 in Bomber County, young men waiting for the night. In the hedgerows birds are singing, calling in the falling light. And the captain says tonight there'll be a bomber's moon. We'll be there and back underneath the bomber's moon. 1,000 bombers over the northern sea, heading out for Germany. Chalky White stands at the dartboard. Curly Thompson writes to his wife. Nobby Clark and Jumbo Johnson are playing cards and smoking pipes. And over the hangars rises a bomber's moon, full and clear, rising as the engines croon. The planes, they taxi out onto runway 5, and sail off out into the silvery night. Sandy Campbell checks his oil gauge. Belgian coast is coming soon. Curly Thompson lifts his sextant and lines up on the bomber's moon. The waves are shining there beneath the bomber's moon. Lancaster's flying high below the bomber's moon. Coming in along the Belgian coast, 1,000 silver-shrouded ghosts. Flak flies up around the city. Jumbo Johnson banks his plane, goes in low and drops his payload, turns to join the pack again. People are dying there below the bomber's moon. The cities are raging hell below the bomber's moon. Planes head out towards the northern sea. Young men coming home from victory. Over Belgium came the fighters, flying high against the night. Curly Thompson saw them coming, closing in before he died. The young men shot them down below the bomber's moon. Shot them down in flames below the bomber's moon. Young men sending young men to their graves. Saw them down into the North Sea waves. 83 in Bomber County. Mrs. White does the picture and she cries. Chalky White in uniform, looking as he did the day he died. For God's sake, no more bombers' moons. No more young men going out to die too soon. Old men sending young men out to die. Young men dying for a politician's life. For God's sake, no more bombers' moons. No no more young men going out to die too soon. Old men sending young men out to kill. If we don't stop them, then they never will.
Calls me up, and we were going to Cologne, and we had to climb over a cumulonimbus front, you know, where you get the up and down drafts, rather than you can't fly through them, especially with a bomb load. Anyway, and we're just almost up to height, and of course he went to go for a crack. So he gets out of his turret, but in getting out, he forgot to lock it, and the turret turned, and the next moment, he's only a kid, he was 18, he's screaming his head off. And the turret had turned and was trapping his legs, and he was going to really, because the bloody thing's going to turn. Yes. And Bomb Abel went back, who was actually his pal, and he tried, and he said, I can't do anything, and he's still bloody screaming. And then we had a bit of luck, he shut up. That's because he'd passed out, because he didn't have any oxygen. We stopped the starboard outer engine, which is the one that drives the turret, and then he got him out of the turret. There's a rest bed in there, Lank, he got him on the rest bed. And when we started the engine up, the bloody thing caught fire because the coolant had frozen. So we shut it down, we didn't operate the Grevner, and then we left it and it all calmed down, so we started it again, and it bloody well caught fire again. But it was going a bit better this time, you know.
It's all relative, I suppose.
Yeah. So we had to operate the Grevner, and when you've operated the Grevner, that's put the fire out, but you can't use the engine again, because if you're doing it burns, you've got a big problem, a bigger problem. Anyway, we did that, but we went on to the target.
Guys, of course, sir. Memorial flight. 12 o'clock, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the, I've flown that plane. That actual aeroplane.
You've flown that aeroplane?
I did the exhibition. That's the DC-3.
I have a funny feeling that was for you.
It certainly wasn't for us lot. Anyway, to finish the story, we came back under the weather, and so we were very low, you know, 200 or 300 feet, just missing everything. We got over the sea, and so one of the guys, the bomb aimer, I think it was, because he'd been down up in the sharp end, he said, I think there's something over there in the sea, Ken. So, or Skip, he called me, and I went over and had a look. And it was a dinghy with 7 guys in it. Not a dinghy, it was a life raft with 7 guys in it. And we managed to get a MTB, get them there, they picked the guys up anyway. And I was looking forward to the absolute ginormous piss up. But it never happened, unfortunately. But we found the people, and we found all about it after the war. They were all bloody well dead. So there was no chance that they'd died, yeah.
And meanwhile, you've done all this on 3 engines to Cologne and back.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, but the kite would fly on 3 engines, all right.
You still did your mission?
Oh yeah, we dropped the ones and we got a good picture too of the target.
And what about the bar? Can you tell us how you got the bar to the medal?
Well, I was the expert. It was for the number of missions I did, and you know, because I kept going.
How many did you do?
44. Yeah.
Well, we thank you anyway.
You don't have to thank me. Everybody did it. I'm one of thousands, and an awful lot of them got killed. On the 30th of March, to the night of March 31st of March 1944, they lost over 700 guys from the RAF. They lost over 100 airplanes, just 100, no, it was, I think there was 10 crashed in England, and it was 90 something in, you know, on the continent. They lost more men, a lot more men than they lost in the whole of the Battle of Britain on that one night. And it's the worst night ever for the RAF. And it was to Oh dear, where was it?
Nuremberg, I think.
Nuremberg. Yeah, we saw the thing yesterday. Yeah. And what you doing? You look at it, and you've got one eye. What have you done with the other one?
Okay, so the end of an extraordinary visit to the Memorial Spire. And there it is. Amazing. And Flight Lieutenant Ken Trent, DFC and Bar. And here we go. With Frank at the front on his trike. Unbelievable. Beautiful sunshine, privileged access, a veteran and the Dakota flying over whilst we were there talking to the veteran of 44 missions. Just what a staggering privilege. Who would have thought it? Fantastic.
Boys back up with the bucket. I asked them to take the bucket back up so they've got the sat nav so we can all stay together.
Brilliant.
Alright, just told me to take that.
Superb. Thanks. Jonathan from the Orkneys. Steve on his V-Strom. Steve's been with us since 2013. Neil, Janet, Alan, the whole gang. Frank about to lead us to Woodall Spa on his trike. Again, Frank's one of the originals, been with us since 2013 on the Dambusters charity rides. Here we go, riding nice. One big gang. Fantastic. Privileged to ride with these people. See you, Jonathan. Just thinking back to that couple of hours at the Memorial Spire there, and the chance of us being there at the same time as a veteran of 44 missions, just coming on spec to see if he could get in, finding the gate open, coming down to see us, and then on top of that, having the Dakota on a low fly past, waving as it flew by. Some things are just meant to be, I guess. Awesome. Just awesome. So the group is split, but at the end of the day, we're all heading to Woodall Spa. It's where there's going to be lunch, and I have to say to you, looking at that sky, I reckon we could get rained on later on, which is definitely not in the plan, but very much part of a typical Dambusters charity ride. We do tend to get wet. Those of us who were with us in 2013 will never forget the rain that came down as we rode around the Monazay with all of the local bikers. I think we've heard various descriptions from biblical to monsoon. That is your typical Dambusters weekend, and I have to say, look around, that weather looks like rain. Excellent. But this is this part of Lincolnshire for you, which is exactly why it was full of bomber bases. It's flat, which means that it's safe for flying. It's on the right side of the country to make the distance to Belgium, the Netherlands, and ultimately Germany as close as possible for the range of the bombers. Because although towards the end of the war the Lancasters had considerably greater range with a large payload, in the early stages much less capable, less range, less payload, and getting to Germany and back was a challenge. And leaving aside the flak, the night fighters, and everything else. So, but this is why. Wide open, flat fenland. Lincolnshire. And into the historic town of Woodall Spa, home to 617 Squadron, late 43 and onwards, and the famous Petwood Hotel in Woodall Spa became the officers' mess for 617 Squadron, and now is the location for 617 Squadron reunions. For example, Flight Lieutenant Ken Trent, who we met this morning, was at the Petwood for a 617 reunion last night with our good friend Johnny Johnson. Take it easy.